Hello, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be reading 5-star predictions. At the end of last year, I did a 5-star predictions video with books on my physical TBR. And my goal in making that video was to have a list of books that I could focus my energy on reading this year. One of my goals for 2022 is to read half of my physical TBR, and that video was a way to get me to actually do that, to actually execute. So in this video, I'm gonna make it even easier for myself to read some of the books that I physically own by reading a selection of 5 of the books on that list. I am actually almost done with completing my 5-star TBR or 5-star prediction TBR, and these are some of the last books that I need to read to complete that. So I'm really excited to get these books off of my physical TBR and to read them here with you, and we'll see if I can find any 5-star gems. So let me walk you through the books that I have on this list, and then we can read them together. First up is, I wanna say, the first book that I talked about in that video, and it is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is a mystery thriller that I've heard a lot about. I first heard about it from Kayla from Books and Lala. She absolutely loves this book, and I'm really excited to dip my toes into the water of this one. I've heard that it's kind of like rich people drama, and I'm really excited to get to this one. I think of all of the books on this list, this one I think could go either way, because mystery thriller for me is a genre that I have sort of a complicated history with, but since I've heard such good things about this book, I'm really hoping that this is a 5-star read. Next up is one that is one that I'm a little bit unsure of simply because of the subject matter. It is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This book, I want to say, is about a pandemic and about the arts, and it was written before the current pandemic we have. So I'll be curious to see what this book says and if this is in any way similar to our current reality. Mixed feelings and mixed thoughts going into this one, but I am hoping that this one is something profound and is a 5-star read for me. Is a National Book Award finalist, so a lot of other people have really liked this one, so hopefully I do as well. Next up are 2 books that don't have dust jackets, so I'm gonna go ahead and insert a picture of these books as I talk about them. First up, we have Heart and a Body in the World by Deb Coletti. This book is a YA contemporary novel. I don't know if I said, but Station 11 is a adult contemporary novel. Heart and a Body in the World is YA contemporary, and this one I want to say deals with some sort of harder hitting topics. And this is another one that I'm sort of hesitant to go into because I'm not normally into YA contemporaries, but whenever I purchased this book, it's one that I was really excited about because so many people in my life had recommended this book to me and had really enjoyed it. And I say recommended to me. No one personally recommended this book to me, but a lot of my friends really enjoyed this one, and so I picked it up, decided to put it on my shelves. In hindsight, I don't know why I decided to buy it, because YA contemporary is not really my thing, but here's hoping that this one is a 5-star. I've heard nothing but good things, and all of my friends have given it 5 stars, so maybe it follows that I'll give it 5 stars as well. Next up, we have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. Every time I try to introduce this book, I feel like I'm always saying it's John Green. It's actually Hank Green that wrote this one, and this is an adult science fiction novel about fame and about alien life, I think. I don't know much about this one, but this one I'm very much looking forward to. I've never read anything by Hank Green before, but I really actually like John Green's writing, so I'm hoping that his brother is someone who also does it for me. And then the last book on this list is a little bit of a wild card. It is The Lightning Struck Heart by TJ Klune. This is an indie adult fantasy novel, and I don't really know much about this one, but I've heard it is really fantastical. It has a found family aspect, and I've loved TJ Klune in the past, so I actually think, looking at all of the books before me, this is the one that I think is most likely to be a 5-star pick, simply because I love TJ Klune so much. I feel like all of these authors actually on this list, other than TJ Klune's The Lightning Struck Heart, all of the others on this list are new to me, so I'll be interested to see if I find any new favorite authors from this video, along with hopefully some 5-star picks. But before we get into the vlog portion of this video, I'm going to tell you about today's sponsor, which is HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a meal delivery service that Hayden and I have been using for the past 2 years, ever since we moved into this house, which is so wild to think about. I cannot believe we've been homeowners for 2 years at this point, but when we moved into this house, we decided we were going to be more grown up and we were going to treat ourselves better and eat at home more often, and HelloFresh has helped us accomplish our goals. Meals at our house are a joint effort. Hayden is the cook in the family, but I'm the one in charge of picking out what we're going to eat for a given week, and on busy weeks, HelloFresh really simplifies that process for us while exposing us to new flavors. Weeknights are so much easier with foolproof, step-by-step recipes ready in about 30 minutes or less. One of my favorite things about HelloFresh is that Hello Custom allows you to customize your box by swapping out one protein or side for another, upgrading for a more luxe experience, or adding protein to a veggie meal. That means more choices, more variety, and more meals truly tailored to you. HelloFresh also offers veggie, pescatarian, and fit and wholesome meals to make it easy to stick to your goals. Also, something I really love about HelloFresh is that it can help you eat more sustainably. HelloFresh is the first carbon-neutral meal kit company, and nearly all packaging is recyclable. HelloFresh recipes include pre-portioned ingredients that mean less prep for you and less wasted food. We've definitely found this to be the case in our household. We really love that we can recycle the packaging in our curbside recycling, and that whenever we get a delivery, we're not wasting time at the grocery grocery store on ingredients for meals that we can only use once. It can be kind of hard, honestly, to shop for just 2 people, and HelloFresh really simplifies that for us. Last night we had the unfried chicken, which was a new recipe, and we both absolutely adored it. We don't typically bake our chicken, and after last night, we're definitely going to be doing it more often. Okay, so the sauce, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I don't know if we have had one of the dishes yet with the sriracha mayo, but it's a delightful addition to the potatoes specifically. I would definitely recommend this particular dish. I also really like how crunchy the chicken is. I think that the title is pretty fitting, the like unfried chicken. Yeah. It was so easy to clean up, and honestly, just exactly what I needed. I'm a big carrot fan. So
and I'm gonna clean up this plate.
If you'd like to try HelloFresh out for yourself, go to HelloFresh.com and enter code ChandlerA16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. I'll leave a link in the description to make that even easier for you. But again, go to HelloFresh.com, enter code ChandlerA16 for 16 meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. Thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Okay, first book on the docket. First book that I think I might give 5 stars to. Maybe? I don't know. I'm 20% in and I'm not really feeling 5 stars, but I'm not really feeling a lot of things. In My Dreams I Hold Knife by, is it Ashley Winstead? This book's about our main character, Jessica. Jessica is going back to Duquesne University because she went there once upon a time. She's going for her like 10-year college reunion. She had a really tight-knit group of friends. They were like, I don't remember the name of them, the something 7, right? Except for one of them is dead. One of them like got murdered on campus or something and it was never solved, but one of their friends was accused of this murder, and Jessica is still friends with this guy. His name's Jack. No one else really like hangs out with Jack, but Jessica's still friends with Jack. She wholeheartedly believes he didn't do it, and he was never convicted, so he's roaming free, he's having fun, and I'm assuming that at this reunion they're going to try and solve the murder of their friend Heather. The book is set in the present day, and we're also getting flashbacks. In the present day, obviously, we're at this reunion, and Jessica, she's kind of a bitch, and I love it. She is trying to like one-up everybody and just be the person that she's always wanted to be. She definitely has an inferiority complex, like her whole life. We get that in the flashbacks in her present day. She doesn't have a level of self-confidence that it seems like everyone around her seems to have. She wants to be the best. She wants to be the prettiest. She wants everybody to want to sleep with her. She wants to be successful. And you know what, girl? Like, I think that's relatable in some ways, right? So she has like, you know, finally gotten her hair the perfect shade of blonde. She is a consultant. She's a hot shit. But already we're seeing like some cracks in her facade, and like she's not feeling as confident as she could, especially since her college boyfriend like unceremoniously dumped her for a like friend of hers and is marrying someone else. Meanwhile, she's single and doesn't have anyone. There's also kind of this like lingering, I would say, question of a crush. I think he's a crush. I don't really know. There was another guy in their friend group who, through flashbacks, I think we're kind of finding out, maybe had a crush on Jessica. It was like kind of a what could have been situation. Like she immediately started dating, I think, her college boyfriend and didn't get to date this other guy instead. We haven't really gotten into any sort of like solving of the murder. We haven't gotten any like super juicy gory details, but I'm liking the way that this book is told. It's kind of giving dark academia. It's kind of giving like Gossip Girl in a way. It's really like fun. I like the way that it's being told. I like our narrator enough. I haven't really gotten much in the way of mystery thriller, which is surprising me because for some reason I thought that this was going to be, you know, everybody comes back together for a college reunion and someone dies at the reunion. Instead, it's like them, I think, trying to solve like this year's old murder, maybe. I mean, I haven't gotten there, so like maybe that's not what actually happens. So far, I'm enjoying it. I mean, is what it is. Is it 5-star material? I mean, I'm not like instantly like, yes, this is fucking awesome, but we haven't really gotten into the like plot yet, so who knows? But Jessica's a fun girl, and I like her. I do want her to be cream of the crop. Like, she got into a 2nd-tier sorority, but maybe she'll be number 1 in terms of being a murderer. I don't think she's actually the murderer, but that would be quite the twist, wouldn't it? I'm gonna keep reading. It's like, should I update you at 70%? Should I update you when I'm done? We'll see. Wherever the road takes us, wherever the night takes us. I will update you tonight because this audiobook returns tomorrow morning, and I'm not missing the opportunity to finish this because my library, holy shit, I have been requesting this audiobook for forever, like since this book came out, and they just got it. And I was on hold. It was on hold at my library for like 10 weeks. Anyway, you don't care. I'm gonna listen to this. Okay, I finished it. It's not a 5-star read, I can tell you that much now. How would I even begin to really explain this book? Okay, this book is exactly what you think it's going to be, or at least exactly what it's peddled to you as, and or, I don't know. What am I trying to say here? This book is a rehashing of old college drama between these 6-7 friends. It's also, you know, a present day exploration, I guess you could say, of like people's ego and pride and stuff like that. And it's also kind of this like dark academia mystery plot. I think dark academia is like a bit of a stretch here, but I think if you like dark academia, you'd probably like this book anyway. I don't love the way that this book was formatted. We do get flashbacks to the past, and we're basically taken person by person through the past. Like, we have a little bit of Jessica's past, and then we get a little bit of Heather's past, and a little bit of Jack's past, a little bit of Frankie's past, like each character down the line. And then the last person that we get to is like, you know, who done it. Felt a little bit too predictable. I feel like it was pretty obvious who did it. The motive made sense, which I guess I appreciated in some ways. This is one of the stories that's like, it's not so much about who did it and finding out who did it, it's more about like the journey to get there. And if you're someone who likes that in a thriller and you like kind of not rich people drama, but like, I don't know, melodramatic, people cheating on other people, academic rivalries, I mean, I guess that is kind of dark academia, then maybe this would like be your perfect read. I think maybe since that's not my perfect read, this is not my perfect book, which is not to say that it wasn't an enjoyable experience, but after having read it, I like have no idea how to rate this book. It was fine to listen to. It's not my kind of thriller. I think I'm really honing in on that over the past, like, I don't know, year or so. I have not had the most experience, I would say, in the mystery thriller genre, so it's taken a while for me to kind of like form my opinions on what I like and what I don't like. And I think I'm finding that I really like a psychological thriller with a lot of emphasis on like the personal relationships and the like psyche of individual characters. Really like Karen Slaughter's The Good Daughter. That is my kind of thriller. It's slow moving, it's dark, it's creepy, it has more than just the thriller plotline to it, but it's deeper, as opposed to something like Pretty Girls, which masquerades as something that is deeper and is not. It's just like gory and gritty. I'm not really here for the cheap thrills. I also like The Push, which I don't know if that's like marketed as true mystery thriller, but like those are the kinds of more thrilling, creepy stories that tend to stick with me, things that really get me to think. And this was just fun and melodrama, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not the kind of thing that like I think I would have picked up on my own. And I guess you could argue that there's more to it than that. Like, we do really get to know Jessica and her interesting state of mind and like thoughts and stuff like that. But I don't know, this is not a book that I feel like will have a lasting impact on me, though it's one that I could see myself recommending to other people because it's something that I think is, I don't know, has some sort of like universal appeal to it. I think it could appeal to people who like mystery thriller, who like kind of Gossip Girl, rich people drama kind of books, who like, you know, a group of old college friends. I think it definitely has an appeal. It's just not like my perfect book, and that's fine. The title of this video is reading my 5-star predictions. I am doing that here. Realistically, I picked books off of my physical TBR, and I'm not expecting really any of these to be 5 stars. Why did I say that? I'm hoping that we do find 5-star, but I think like I'm not gutted or anything that this was not like the perfect book ever, but I'm glad that I read it. I'm glad that I got this off my physical TBR. I'm glad that I can go and wash my face and maybe wash my hair because I feel gross. I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what I'm gonna read next. Oh, actually I do. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, which I'm like 10% into and enjoying. So who knows, maybe that'll be the 5-star read of my dreams. If we can get one 5-star read here, like, I'll be happy. All right, ignore the cartoon character ponytail and like the hair that's inevitably going to fall on my face. I have just finished An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, which I will insert a picture of right here, even though I own this book, because I don't have a dust jacket for it, and I know y'all like looking at pretty pictures, so here you go. I enjoyed this book. I didn't update you as I was reading because it's a weird one, and I didn't really know how I was feeling about it, to be honest, right? The story is about our main character, April May, and she is the first to make contact with an alien life form, essentially. This large statue appears one day in New York, I think, and she's like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but I'm going to be the first to record this because what is this, right? Quickly learn that there is some sort of like code to be deciphered and other things that happen. I don't know what about this book is a spoiler and what's not, so I can't really get into the weeds and the details. However, I enjoyed what this book did. This book was one part social commentary and commentary on like internet fame and fame in general, and then one part science fiction novel with an interesting plot. And frankly, I think both were done very well. I admit that I purchased this book initially because I cared more about the social commentary and the commentary on fame, and I will say, I don't know if I was in the right mindset to read that today or whenever I fucking started this book. However, I do think it was very timely, and I think sometimes when we don't feel like we're in the mood to read something and we do it anyway, it can hit us in the right way. I feel like I read this book at exactly the time that I was meant to read this book. Not that I have internet fame, but I think it applies. A lot of the conversations, internet fame or just like internet presence, apply no matter who you are on the internet, and I think it was very timely for me. I think I would have liked this book more had it had more of that. In fact, I think I would really like John and Hank to come together and write a memoir, or about their collective experiences on the internet, because frankly, I feel like they're a wealth of knowledge, and for two people to maintain the same levels of relevance on the internet for as long as they have, it's astounding to me, frankly. And that's actually something that's touched on a little bit in this book, and so I honestly wanted more of that, which is not a critique of this book. I think like there was a good balance, which is something that I wanted more of as like the kind of reader that I am. This book took me by surprise in that I did care about the science fiction plotline. I didn't expect to, because frankly, like, just reading the synopsis on Goodreads, I was like, I don't feel like I'm really gonna care about this, but I really grew to care, and I kind of want to read the sequel now, because I'm like, there's a cliffhanger, excuse me. I struggled to rate this book because I just don't think it is my typical pick, and that doesn't mean that it's inherently less good if it is something that I don't typically choose to read, right? One of my favorite books last year was a science fiction book, so I don't think the genre really has anything to do with it. I think the thing that might be keeping me from giving this 5 stars instead of 4 stars be the characters. I found April to be very interesting, and I really liked being in her head, but I don't feel like we really got to know the other characters very well. And I think that was intentional, and I think that it makes sense given the way the story is told. Like, we're in April's head. To be honest, like, she is really concerned with herself for the majority of the story, so it makes sense we wouldn't know the other characters very well. But I think that would have added just a little bit more like richness to this book, and it would have made it something that I would be putting on a favorites list. Is that controversial to say? I don't know. I feel like that was the missing piece for me, was like the side characters being just a little bit more fleshed out. Some of the relationships to have felt more important and impactful. Like, we know at the beginning of the story that like April doesn't really value friendships and romantic relationships in the way that maybe other people, and everybody obviously conceptualizes those things differently, so I don't think that she's like, you know, a bad person for not wanting things in the same way other people do, but it made it hard to really truly root for her if like the other characters didn't really have their own like personality, flavor, zest. We only really started getting that in the last chapter of the book, and at that point I was like, oh, okay, I wish I had gotten some of this throughout the length of the book. Okay, I enjoyed this book. I don't think it's a 5 star, obviously it's a 4 star for me. I do think that this next one could be a potential 5 star, so let's go ahead and talk about it, because I'm 10% in and I'm having a great time. The Lightning Struck Heart by TJ Klune. This is one that I really anticipated enjoying because I like TJ Klune's writing so much, and historically I just feel like he does good stuff. This is an indie published high fantasy story, I guess you could say. It's about our main character Sam, who is a wizard, and he's like plucked from obscurity and or poverty, I guess you could say, to be the apprentice to like the wizard of his kingdom. Him and his mom and dad are taken from the slums essentially and are put into the castle, and that is where Sam gets trained up. I haven't gotten very far past that, but the first chapter actually in this book, we have Sam being, I guess, captured, kidnapped, taken hostage by a guy, some random dude. I guess he's probably not very relevant because he meets his maker in the start of the story, but Larton the Darkleaf captures Sam and his friend Gary, the hornless unicorn, gay hornless unicorn specifically, Tiggy, the half giant. They're captured, and they have this run-in, and the entire opener is them trying to kind of like escape and or having some banter with this guy that has captured them. Instantly I was drawn into the story because I was like, if the rest of this book is written like this, I know I'm gonna have a good time. I feel like I owe you a passage to really try to describe and explain what about this book I like. I will say, before I forget, there are some like language usage issues that I have. Like, there are some word choices that definitely aren't great. Basically, Gary the gay unicorn is talking about how they have been tied up, and he proceeds to talk about how he has been tied up multiple times in a sexual way, and then he starts flirting with their captor and making fun of Sam for being a virgin. It's fun, okay? It's fun time. Don't know what the hell's gonna happen. The synopsis, I guess, kind of tells me what's gonna happen. Sam ends up falling for a knight in the castle, and the knight in the castle ends up dating the prince that Sam thinks is a douchebag. It sounds fun. I don't know what to say about this book. I know that I'm going to read this in its entirety tonight, and I'll come back to you tomorrow with my final thoughts and feelings, but it's a good time. I've never read anything like this before. Even among TJ Klune, because I've never read anything like this before. It is very snappy. There's a joke like every 5 seconds. If you are looking for something just fun and lighthearted, and again, you are aware that there are some like problematic word choices here, I think you might have a good time, because frankly, I am. And I don't want to say I don't care what happens, because I certainly do. I want to know what's going to happen, but like, I'm here for the journey. I'm here for the journey and the ride, and that has not happened in a long time. Most books that I read, I'm like, okay, I want to get to the end. This one I'm not, and I think that's a good thing. So I am going to wash my disgusting face, and I'm just going to laze about in bed and finish this, and I will update you bright and early tomorrow morning about my thoughts and feelings, because let you in on a secret, I have 2 other books to read, and I have 24 hours-ish to get those done as well. So I'm gonna take my sweet time to read this tonight, and I'll keep you posted. But so far, having a grand time. Oh my goodness. I just finished The Lightning Struck Heart, and I thought we could talk about it because I've also started and I've gotten 50% of the way into the next book. But task at hand first, Lightning Struck Heart. Also my hair, interesting. The Lightning Struck Heart by TJ Klune was super cute, and I was really going back and forth on what I wanted my rating for this book to be because it was a little bit long and drawn out. It was very nonsensical. I think the dialogue in this book will irritate a lot of people, but this book single-handedly changed my mood from being in an incredibly bad one to being in a really good one. I'm in a great mood now. I am ready to read more books, and I don't want to say it's changed my outlook on life or anything dramatic, but like it genuinely improved my mood very dramatically. So I think for that reason alone, I'm gonna have to give this book 5 stars. We have our first 5-star, and I'm very happy about it, especially since I'm a little worried about the next 2 books that we're reading because they're, you know, more of the emotional, hard-hitting kind of thing. This book is really a journey, and I think I already kind of touched on what the plot of this story is, but essentially Sam is a wizard apprentice, and he has a really, like, great found family around him. I mean, both an actual family and a found family. His mom and dad are awesome. The king of the kingdom is really nice, too. We also have Ryan, who is the love interest. We have Justin, who's a bit grumpy, but, like, still fun to be around. And then, obviously, we have Gary, the gay, hornless unicorn, Tiggy, the half-giant, and Kevin the dragon, who comes in at about the midway point of the book. It's basically a story about Sam and his friends having to embark on this journey to save Prince Justin from the clutches of a dragon, and Ryan tags along, and there is a lot of angst and pining involved because Sam has a really big crush on Ryan, and we suspect that Ryan also has a crush on Sam, and that is resolved so beautifully in this book. I loved most things about it. I personally really liked the dialogue. I liked that it was a little meandering and silly. I like that everyone, for the most part, it's just really fun. It kind of felt like watching a Monty Python movie at parts, but where everyone was just kind-hearted, if that makes sense. It was so funny and so nonsensical, and even the big bads of the story aren't really big bads. They're always foiled by Sam's talking because, wow, that man can talk, and I just thought it was cute. Now, I will say, and this is something I kind of pointed out just a second ago in the last clip, but there are definitely problems here in the story. I feel like some of the language choiceage can definitely be problematic. There was one word in particular that I really didn't appreciate being used, and then there's some, like, other things throughout the story that I was like, I don't know if I would have used that wording. It's clear that, like, TJ Klune doesn't have any ill intent with this language choice, and I think, like, had he gone back and edited it, or maybe he has, like, since this version of the book has come out, he would, you know what I mean? Like, I think he definitely didn't have ill intent in writing this book, but there are some things in there that I was like, a little bit, that's questionable, you know, like, let's not use those words. That being said, the overall feeling you get when reading this book is so lovely. Like, it was just so delightful. It's like a warm hug, and I think if you want a really nice gay love story, I think this is one worth picking up, to be honest. I loved the happily ever after, and I'm really curious to see how the other books in the series carry on, because this one did have a definite ending, which was nice. I don't feel like I have to jump into the next book immediately, but I had a really good time with this one, and it's one that I think you need to, like, read a sample of before picking up and kind of see if it's your cup of tea, your speed. But I think if you enjoyed the sample that you read of this book, I think I would recommend it because it's so fun. It's such a fun story, and I definitely do want to read more of the books in the series later on. Maybe not now, but like later on. So I'm glad I read this. I was just not having a good time with any of the things I was reading previously, to be honest. Not books for this video in particular, but like things for other videos. And this really like lifted my spirits, lifted my mood, and now I feel like I'm ready to conquer anything, which is good because it's a Monday and I'm definitely going to need a lot of that. 5 stars. I enjoyed this book a lot. Let's go ahead and talk about a book that I don't know that I'm enjoying, but that I can recognize is really powerful. Heart in a Body in a World by Heart in a Body in the World by Deb Cletty. This is a book that it's pretty challenging to read because you have this impending sense of dread the entire time you're reading. It follows our main character Annabelle, and we know at the beginning of the story something really tragic has happened to her. She decides, instead of going to, I think, the first day of school, her senior year of high school, she's going to run. She just decides she's going to run. She leaves, she runs from the school, and winds up like miles from home. She calls her mom and she's like, hey, I'm going to run to DC. I'm just going to do it. I can't be here anymore. I can't go to school. This is just not something I can do after the things that have happened to me. And her mom is upset, but like kind of understanding. I mean, she allows her daughter to do this because she's an adult and like what else can she do? And that's kind of what the story is. Annabelle is running across the United States, followed closely by her grandfather in an RV, like making sure that she is okay, in order to escape her trauma, I guess, maybe sort of confront it at the same time and seek action in DC. I think the point of her running to DC in particular is that she can, you know, lobby Congress or something like that to help whatever has happened to her, if that makes sense. And we don't know what's happened to her. This story really relies on the dread and the impending sense of doom because we know that we're getting closer and closer to that point throughout the story. She's running, we're getting flashbacks of Annabelle, the last year in school and like what happened. And I have my suspicions at what that thing is. I think if you start this story, it's pretty obvious what that thing is, and I think there are a lot of probably reviews tell you what it is that has happened to Annabelle. I'm not going to spoil that, but this book is very timely. I think this is a book that could be potentially very triggering to some people. Tough one to read, but I think it's really important, and I'm really, really impressed with how this book is being told. Every line in this book feels important and impactful, and it says something. There are no wasted words in this book, which I really can appreciate. It's a book that I think you could get more from the more that you read it, which is nice, and I could definitely see this being a really timely and important book to read as a high schooler in particular, maybe a middle schooler, I don't know, but it's hard to talk about this book without spoiling it, but it feels weird to say spoiling because this book is like, you know, it's not a plot twisty book or, you know, fantasy adventure, but yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say that I'm enjoying this book because the subject matter is very challenging to read about. It's hard to see someone going through trauma and having a visceral response to that trauma. Some of the ways in which Annabelle's reacting to the things that have happened to her, I feel so deeply for because I'm like, wow, that's relatable. So I wouldn't say that I'm enjoying the story, but I am appreciating what it's doing. So I am eager to finish the book. I am eager to find out, you know, what has happened to Annabelle and her and the people around her, because this is not something that just impacted her, but I'm also dreading it because it's sort of not fun to read, but you know, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It's a good book. It's well written, and I am excited to finish this off and then read Station 11, which I'm sure is going to be just as depressing. So, you know, I like how I read The Lightning Struck Heart and I'm like, I'm in a good mood, hoping these books don't get me down. Thankfully, I think I only have like an hour left of listening in this audiobook, so I don't think that like that hour is really going to change the trajectory of my mood for the rest of the day, but we'll see. We shall see. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. I will let you know how I felt about it, and then we can start in on Station 11. Wow, I just finished A Heart and a Body in the World, and it is a 5-star read. I mean, no way around it. The book was phenomenal. It was really, really well done. And I know that I said that I wasn't going to spoil it, but I also don't think content warnings are a spoiler. This book centers heavily on gun violence. Pretty obvious from the beginning what this book is about. And I don't know that this... No, you know what? I do think this story says something new about this particular topic. I think is more than just that. It also talks a lot about masculinity and saying no and the pressure that women are under to be nice all of the time. It is so well written and well done, and it's hard to talk about because it was sad. But I feel like the message is ultimately triumphant, which I really appreciated. And while I can't personally relate to the kind of character that Annabelle is, I could relate to some of the things, I guess, that she did as a trauma response, and I think that her character is very, I don't want to say universally relatable, but I think her character is one that will connect with a ton of different people because she is not to any one thing, if that makes sense. She is strong, but she is also a teenage girl, you know, she's dealing with a lot of like big emotions, and I don't know what to say about this book that probably has already been talked about in much more eloquent ways than I could, you know, attempt to do, but I really recommend you read this book if you want to read a book about gun violence. I don't know, I probably wouldn't have picked this book up on my own, I say as if I don't own it myself. I don't think this is one that I would have rushed to read on my shelves because my taste tends to not lean into, you know, darker topics or darker themes. Like, that's just not something that I like to read. I like lighthearted contemporaries. That tends to be my thing. If I'm going to read a contemporary, I mean, honestly, like, I'd rather be reading romance 90% of the time, but I'm glad that I read this, and I am glad that I got to clear another YA contemporary off of my shelves. I think this is one that I will likely keep. I could definitely see myself loaning this out to someone. I could definitely see myself giving this to a future child to read. Like, I just think this book is important. I think it's good. You know, while it's not going to be a favorite book of mine simply because it's not my kind of read, if that makes sense. I can appreciate this for what it was. There's a difference between a best book and a favorite book, and this is one of the best books I've ever read, but it is not one of my favorites. I now need to go into Target and buy some cat litter. I will be back in a little bit and we'll read some Station 11. I just got the audiobook and I'm ready to fly through it. I've attempted to read that one before and I did not really like it, so I'm hoping it won't be a DNF, but I am gonna give myself the option to DNF this book if I really want to, because you know what? I punish myself, right? This video so far has actually been pretty good because we've had some really good readings and I don't want to completely tank that if Station 11 just turns out to not be my thing. So I'll be back and we can talk about that one. Now, I'm not saying I'm a fortune teller, but I am saying I'm pretty good at predicting what books I will and won't like, and I ended up DNFing Station 11 really early on. Looking at the back of this, I got this at the Strand whenever I visited New York for the first time, and as lovely as that trip was, I think I can commemorate it in different ways by not keeping this book. By keeping the pictures and the memories that I have from that time. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Station 11 is a book that attempts to talk about a flu that has impacted the world, and it talks about how, I guess, the arts are important. I didn't really get that far, but I'm pretty sure that's what this book is attempting to do. In the beginning of the story, we have someone passing away after like a heart attack, or what seems to be a heart attack, on a stage. After this happens, a contagion kind of like ripples out and affects the rest of the United States and like beyond, I think. Then we also are getting a little bit of a flashback or a flash forward into this woman named Kirsten, who is an actor who I guess is like there for the original Contagion. Like she was there when this guy passed away, and she has made it her life's mission, I guess, to travel around and bring theater to the remaining people on Earth or the United States. I don't know for sure. I'm kind of just reading the synopsis on the back because that's about how far I got into the story. I don't really love stories like this. I didn't like the writing very much. It felt very literary, which I guess if you're like into that sort of thing, I mean, here you go. I also just didn't really particularly like the characters from what I got of them from the beginning. It didn't feel like this was going to be a super heavy character-centered novel, and instead was going to focus on the human condition. And I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm really in the market for that at the moment in my life. I feel like if I want to consume this story in the future, I'd probably just watch the television adaptation. And now I don't know if it is quite as good as the book or if it's true to the book, but honestly, I find that I tend to prefer adaptations over books. I know that's a wild thing to say, but I'm pretty happy with my decision to DNF this book. So that is the end of the road for me and this video. Let me go ahead and kind of recap what we read and what books I would personally recommend. Honestly, besides Station 11, I had a pretty good time reading these books. I feel like the middle three were definitely the highlight. In My Dreams I Hold the Knife was just okay. I don't necessarily know that I love this book, but I do think it's one that I would recommend to other lovers of mystery thrillers, because I feel like this book doesn't read like a lot of other mystery thrillers I've read, and I did actually kind of like the ending of the story. Even if I thought like the twists and stuff weren't great, the very ending of the story I did appreciate. I would say these next three are ones that I highly recommend. First up, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I swear to God, I almost said John Green again. This book, I really feel like has something important to say, and I'm very curious to see what Hank Green writes in the future after having read and completed this book. It's really good. It was a fun time, even if it wasn't my perfect 5-star read, and it's one that I do think I need to revisit because I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing something important. Obviously, A Heart and a Body in the World is important, it's timely, and it's a book that I think could really speak to a younger audience as well as an older audience. So that one, obviously a 5-star read and really awesome. And then I think my favorite book from this video, The Lightning Struck Heart by TJ Klune. Again, isn't without issue, but it is a book that is so fun and I feel like is the perfect book to read at the end of the summer. I don't know, it's leading me into all of the fall fantasies I want to read, or all of the fantasies I want to read in the fall. Fall is just a time for fantasies, right? And this one gives me summer vibes. It's leading me into the fall. So in terms of these being 5-star predictions, I feel like I did pretty good. None of these books were total fails for me, even if I didn't finish Station 11. I feel like it's pretty rare for me to pick up books nowadays that are not romance, and so to kind of go outside of my comfort zone, read some stuff that has been languishing on my shelves, and to come away with 2 new 5-star reads, I'm pretty happy with it. So thanks so much for watching this video. I love y'all so much, and until next time.